Hola familia, welcome to How to Apply for an SBA Loan, brought to you by Peapack-Gladstone Bank. Did you know that Peapack-Gladstone Bank has been around for over 100 years? They gave me this beautiful book, which tells a little bit about the history of Peapack. But in today's financial crisis, you've seen several banks literally shutter. You want to go to a bank with a 100-year history that's conservative with their funds, and they're going to be here for another 100 years. So we're glad to partner with Peapack-Gladstone Bank on this very important topic. As you know, when we poll our members, consistently access to capital is the largest hurdle for them to expand their business or start their business. I've spoken to businesses that have been around for more than 50 years, and they always lament if programs like this existed, years ago, it would have been much smoother sailing for their business. So I'd like to thank Andrew Glatz, who's the Senior Managing Director and Head of SBA Lending at Peapack-Gladstone Bank with over 25 years of financial services experience in SBA lending, and Carolina Rozeski, who's the Assistant Vice President, Community Development Officer at Peapack. She's been with the bank since 2012, and Carolina's Latina. Bienvenido. So without further ado, Carolina's going to start us off, giving us a little bit more information about Peapack.
Gracias, Carlos, for that introduction. And yes, my name is Carolina Rozeski. I am from Colombia. I have over 10 years of banking experience in retail, mortgage, and now in compliance, and I'm the Community Development Officer. So I'm going to give you a little introduction about our organization. So if we can start with the slides, please. Thank you. Next slide. Perfect. So Peapack-Gladstone Bank, like Carlos said, was founded in 1921, and we have a total of 17 branches in Somerset, Hunterdon, Morris, and Union counties, and its headquarters is in Bedminster, New Jersey. Next slide, please. Our foundation is built in 5 core principles: professionalism, we compete to win, we are one team, our clients come first, and we invest in our community and pride ourselves on the depth of our relationship with our clients. So without any further ado, I'm going to give it to Andy so he can start with the topic of the day.
Thanks, Carolina, and good afternoon, and welcome everyone to the webinar on how to apply for an SBA loan. Again, my name is Andrew Glatz. I head up the SBA department for Peapack-Gladstone Bank. And I've been doing SBA lending for about 25 years now, and I really enjoy helping out small businesses and watching them grow and prosper and become successful. It's really it's really something to see, and I enjoy that niche of it. And that's why I've been involved in it for a long time, and hopefully you'll get a little bit out of today's webinar, and get you to that next level there. We'll have some time at the end of the webinar for questions, and feel free to ask any questions. And afterwards, if you forget some, please email or reach out directly. First slide. So before we get into how to apply for an SBA loan, I think it's important that we talk a little bit about what is an SBA loan, the types of SBA loans, and what the SBA looks at, what their loan requirements are. Next slide. So what is an SBA loan? An SBA loan is a government-backed loan for an eligible small business. The SBA creates guidelines for partnering lenders and guarantees the loan, reduces the risk for lenders. So what that means, we'll pause there a second, is the SBA, the Small Business Administration, doesn't actually lend the funds. They don't lend the money. They have lenders that they partner with that lend the money directly, and the SBA guarantees a portion of it. They provide somewhat of an insurance to the bank to encourage small banks to lend in and around their communities. So the banks like Peapack, we want to do loans in our community. We want to help out small businesses. That's what we're all about. A lot of times they either don't qualify, or there's reasons that we can't do it, whether it's a loan to value, whether it's an underwriting, whether there's some inherent weakness, the SBA encourages banks to do these loans, and they provide that guarantee to us, and that we're encouraged by that, and there's a lot of eligibility that they put in there that we're not going to get really into. But what they want to do is to make sure that the small business is a small business, that we're not lending to Google, Walmart, or some of your other ones. So the criteria that they talk about primarily is based on size standard and number of employees, number of revenues, and they put these measures in place so that the funds are actually going towards the small businesses that need it. Next slide. So the types of loans, these are your primary types of SBA loans: a 7A loan, a 504 loan, and a micro loan. We're going to talk a little bit more detail about each one. Next slide.
Andrew, before you
Yes.
go into each slide, can I ask Tatiana to help translate how to apply, like the first slide, if you want to go back
Absolutely.
to that? Yep.
I'll pause there. Absolutely, Carlos.
Perfect. Thank you, Tatiana. She's one of our Latina Superstar members. So thank you, Tatiana Vivas from Sava Group.
Muchas gracias, Carlos. Y sí, como Carlos estaba mencionando, el día de hoy estamos hablando sobre la importancia que es entender los préstamos del SBA, de la Asociación de Pequeños Negocios, cuáles son los requerimientos para aplicar para estos préstamos. Y primero nos habló Carolina Rosowski, nos habló un poquito sobre la historia del banco. Este banco por el que estamos facilitando esta información es un banco que ya tiene 100 años, entonces qué mejor que ir a uno de estos donde tienen toda esta estructura de experiencia. Y Andrew nos estaba hablando un poquito sobre lo que es el SBA, cuáles son los tipos de préstamos del SBA y también las diferencias de cómo el SBA ayuda a los bancos a conectarse con los prestamistas, especialmente de los pequeños negocios. Hay 3 tipos de préstamos del SBA, son el 7A, el 504 y también los micropréstamos, que nos va a hablar un poquito Andrew de esto, y también luego va a hablar sobre los requerimientos para poder aplicar.
All right. Thank you for that. And I think we're on the next slide. All right. Next one. So the 7A program, that's the primary one. The SBA refers to it as their flagship program. And the reason they say that it's the one that's most commonly used, and it's able to accomplish the most uses. And what they mean by that is you're able to do one SBA loan for the purchase of real estate. You're able to do refinancing debt. You're able to purchase equipment, all under one loan. And instead of having a separate loan for working capital, a separate loan to buy a piece of equipment, if you want to buy the real estate you're operating from, they're able to use the 7A program to encompass all those needs under one loan, one underwriting, one loan payment. So it makes it a lot easier. And as you can understand, as a small business owner, there's multiple uses. So if you put it all down, instead of having one for each, the 7A enables you to do that all under one loan. The maximum loan amount is $5 million. The terms vary between 10 to 25 years based on uses. 25 would be for real estate. That's the longest use there. And again, this is their flagship program. That's the one that's primarily used, not just by SBA in Jersey, nationwide. Here at Peapack, that's the one we primarily use because we're able to help out the small businesses with a variety of uses. Next slide. The 504 loan program. This one here, it's primarily for real estate and long-term assets, and that would be your equipment that has a long life expectancy, but primarily it's real estate based. And what they actually came up with the name, the 504 loan. The bank would lend 50% of the loan amount. The SBA would lend directly 40%, and the borrower comes up with a 10% injection. So this works. It's a very good program. Again, it helps out a lot of small businesses. But the thing to remember with the 504, it's real estate based. So it's usually your larger loans. Again, it goes up to $5 million. But if you're looking to purchase a piece of real estate, the plus with this program is you only would have to come up with 10%. So a 10% down payment is a lot more manageable than, in this environment, 20, 25, 30% down. So that's where the SBA enables small businesses to buy. You've been renting your property for a long time. Maybe the time now is to purchase it. that 10% injection makes it a lot more manageable than, conventional banking would. Next slide. The microloan program, again, we wanted to mention this because SBA runs the gamut. It goes from, as you can see, the majority of their microloans are about $13,000. That's an average loan amount. So they go small loans all the way up to $5 million. And the smaller loans, they're out there to help small businesses. They want to see you hire more employees. They may, if it's a startup company, you may only need a small loan amount. You don't want to get too deep in debt. You want just a loan to get you to that next level, to see if this is something that's going to work and continually to, continue growing. Worst thing you want is, get too far into debt and the business is a little slower than you expect. So the microloan, we partner with a couple of the other agencies and, we do some here, but it's a great way to start off. It's a great way to, get that small business to the next level there without getting too much debt. Next slide.
Tatiana, could you go over and we'll go back? Can we go back to the first of the loans, the 7A, and then we'll just go one by one and you could go over them for us, Tatiana. Thank you.
Perfecto, Carlos. Entonces, sí, básicamente los préstamos del SBA son préstamos generados por el gobierno, no se hacen directamente con el SBA, pero se hace a través de los diferentes bancos que son aliados. El SBA está para ayudar a las personas a poder también utilizar los recursos y poder generar estos requerimientos para poder recibir estos préstamos. Y hay 3 tipos de préstamos. The first slide, please, on the 7A loans. Hay 3 tipos de préstamos. El uno es un préstamo que es el 7A, es el más común y este es muy importante porque básicamente ayuda a que los pequeños negocios puedan recibir el préstamo para diferentes asuntos, no solamente para capital de trabajo o labor, sino que también si necesitan algún equipo. Esos préstamos pueden ser de hasta $5 millones y también pueden ser pagos entre 20 y 25 años. Aplica también para las personas que están queriendo aplicar para hacer compras directamente con real estate. Luego tenemos, next slide please, luego tenemos también el préstamo 504, que son ya para cuando las personas quieren comprar propiedades más grandes, en donde 50% es de parte del prestamista, 40% viene directamente del SBA y el 10% es la única inyección financiera que básicamente la persona que está queriendo prestar el dinero debe de poner. Next slide please. Tenemos también los micropréstamos que son para negocios pequeños que recién tal vez están empezando y que normalmente dan un promedio de hasta $13,000. Estos préstamos ayudan a que los pequeños negocios puedan adquirir estos préstamos más fácil y también lo puedan utilizar para diferentes ámbitos de su negocio. Thank you, Carlos.
Thanks, Tatiana.
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about the SBA loan requirements. And I'll read these here and then we'll go in a little more detail. The business has to operate for profit. So it can't be a non-for-profit. It has to operate for profit, be considered a small business as defined by the SBA. So we spoke about that earlier. There are certain size standards, number of employees, revenue-based. And majority of the small business do qualify. They base it on your SIC codes. But I wouldn't worry about that too much. Again, that is in place to deter larger businesses from applying for an SBA loan. That has to be operating inside the United States, demonstrate the need for a loan. Again, that sounds silly, but you have to describe a purpose, either expansion, working capital, something that's going to benefit that small business and help it prosper and hire more employees. So it has to be a need for the loan. Use the funds for sound business purposes. So you want to have that already prepared, not saying, well, I may need it down the road. You have to explain it. It has to be a good business. It'll help the business grow. You can't be delinquent in any existing U.S. government debt, back taxes, IRS taxes. You can't have a prior SBA loan that you reneged on. So you want to make sure that everything is cleaned up before you start the process and your application. Be creditworthy and reasonably assure repayment of the loan. So what that means is, does the business show the ability to repay the loan? If it's a startup business, do you personally honor all your credit obligations in a timely manner? Is your credit report in order? Those are all the things that the SBA is going to look at. And again, if you think about it, it's nothing different than a regular bank, what we would look at on a conventional basis. So you'd probably want to look at your credit report beforehand. You want to make sure all your obligations are current and in good standing. And I think it's a good idea anyway to check your credit report on an annual basis to make sure there's nothing that's being reported that may not be yours, that could affect the decision. So I think you want to make sure that the credit worthiness and reasonable to show payments is demonstrated. You want to, you know what you're looking at, but I would just make sure you touch on that before you go to the next step. Next slide.
Can Tatiana go over the prior
Oh,
slide?
absolutely. Sure. Thanks, Carlos.
Thank you. Entonces, hablamos un poco sobre cuáles son los requerimientos para que puedan obtener los préstamos con el SBA. Y uno de ellos es operar para obtener ingresos. Básicamente, las organizaciones sin fines de lucro no podrían estar aplicando aquí, pero sí los negocios privados. Ser considerado un pequeño negocio, como definido por la Asociación de Pequeños Negocios. También estar proponiendo negocios en los Estados Unidos. Demostrar la necesidad que tienen para el préstamo, poder demostrarlo en papel y con números, demostrar también que estos fondos van a ser utilizados exclusivamente para propósitos del negocio, no tener ninguna cuenta en colecciones, no tener ninguna obligación de deuda con el gobierno de los Estados Unidos especialmente, y tener también un reporte de crédito bueno, en donde se pueda demostrar que tiene su capacidad de pago, que ustedes están buscando expansión de capital, pero que básicamente sí van a poder hacer los pagos a tiempo.
Thank you, Tatiana.
Thank you. So our next slide is how to apply for an SBA loan. So that's the main part of our webinar today. We're going to spend probably the most time on this one here. And the first thing is find a lender who partners with the SBA. So there it's available. You can either look online, you can speak with the district office in New Jersey. There's one in Newark, New Jersey. That's your district office. Find which banks participate in the program. You may want to see who you bank with now, who your bank is now that participates in the program. If you're familiar with them and they're in the program, you may want to deal directly with them. I say that where they know you, you know them. You bank with them probably because they're in your marketplace. Maybe they're convenient for you. Because if your business is going to be there, you want a bank that's going to be convenient, that knows you already, instead of starting off from ground zero. You would want to choose your SBA loan type. Again, you may not be 100% sure what you want, but we touched on the three main ones earlier there, whether it's real estate you're purchasing, whether it's the 7A for a loan that may have a couple different uses, or a small micro loan that you just want to see if it's going to get the business to the next level. So you have some idea of what that loan looks like. So you're going to find a lender that participates, find a loan program that best suits your needs, and then you're going to gather your documents. So we're going to go through that a little bit more here. So the SBA, they call it a Form 1919. That's the SBA's application. And that's their way of gathering information on the business, the guarantors, a little bit more about the use of proceeds, as we touched earlier. And it's an information gathering document. So you got to fill it out. It's available through the lender that you're going to deal with. They're available online. It's a standardized form. You wouldn't have too much trouble with that. It's a very easy form to complete. Again, you can look at this before you even start applying to your lender. Everything is available through SBA.gov online. You can review all these forms. The next one, your current business and personal financial statements. So again, it varies. If you're in business, then you would have business tax returns. If you're a Schedule C, you would have your personal returns with the attachments. So it all depends on what level you're at. I would get everything prepared. Make sure you have them that you can either, everybody nowadays are using Dropbox or send electronically. You want to make sure that your first presentation with your lender is a good one, meaning that the documents are able to be sent, how they're able to be sent, that you have everything prior 3 years. They usually look for 3 years tax returns. If your most current year is on an extension, you'd want to provide a copy of that extension. If there was changes to those tax returns that, maybe it's not, this year is different than the prior, explain it. Different address, maybe there was a change in marital status, maybe there was a different, if there's any major changes, make sure, because the person that's going to be reviewing it, you don't want them to assume anything. So I would gather the information. If it's an existing business, provide the 3 years business, 3 years personal. if it's not an existing, all you're going to have is your personal tax returns. Make sure the format is able to be transferred to your lender. Each lender is different. Find out which way they want you to send it, whether it's through Dropbox, electronically. Make sure that it's labeled. If it's a PDF, that each one is labeled, that your presentation that you sell yourself, that the way that you're submitting the application is the way that you run your business. And that's what you want to try to get across to them. The next one is the personal financial statement. So that's you, just as it says, personal financial statement. So what the lender looks at here is what's behind the business. So what you're going to be guaranteeing this loan. So it's a personally guaranteed loan. What do you look like personally? Are you able to pledge collateral? Do you have assets to put towards it? If you're going to put money into the business, do you have those funds available? And what we also look at is your personal obligations. So on your personal financial statement, if you have a lot of debt, if there's debt there, or like we said earlier, on your credit report, you'd want to make sure you show it, because any lender is going to pull a credit report. So on your personal financial statement, you're going to list your assets and your liabilities. So it may not be 100% accurate. You'd want to do a really good job, though, as far as if you have money in savings, you have real estate, you have a brokerage account, whatever that looks like as far as your assets, and also be honest with your liabilities. If there's outstanding credit card payments, mortgages, you can go online these days, find out the balances, put that information in there, because the lender rather have it come from you. Again, this is your presentation, your first encounter with the lender. Be upfront. If there's anything in there that you need to footnote or add additional information, I would add it. You want to make sure that you put everything in there. If you received another SBA loan or government-backed loan prior, I'd list it. Whether it was in the form of a PPP loan during COVID, whether it was one of the EIDL loans during COVID there that they assisted directly with, put everything down, list it, and then also you're going to want to prepare a management resume. I know a lot of people ask about it. They think, well, I'm not applying for a job. But what that shows, it shows to the lender and it shows to the SBA your background. How does this new business or existing business, how does that overlap with what your experience is? What have you done prior? How long have you been doing it? I mentioned this where you've been in a different industry and now all of a sudden you want to start a restaurant. That's a tough business. So how are you going to, it's going to lead to more questions there. You're going to want to say, well, my partner has the cooking experience and the back end experience. I'm going to be the front end. All right. So then that answers that question. So you want to make sure that resume identifies what business you're in now, what business that you're going into, how you're going to be able to run your business successfully. And that's, again, what the lender and what the SBA wants to see, because management, is very important. And it's, again, I'd spend a lot of time on that. If everybody has a different form. The SBA has one. If you already have a resume completed, you'd want to attach that. But sell yourself. I think it's important that why is this going to be successful and how, and talk about it. Now, the last one we have is executive business summary. A lot of times that's what we refer to as a business plan and projections and a business plan. Again, if you're in business, you wouldn't really have it. You'd have a summary. If it's a new business, you would have a business plan to say, tell the business tell us what the business does, what it's about, where you operate, how you're going to be successful. And again, everybody doesn't have a crystal ball, but again, the lender that's seeing this they're seeing it for the first time. You want to tell why you need the loan. What have you been doing? How does the business, generate revenues? How many employees you have? Walk it through a timeline. This is where you're at now. After I receive this loan I'm requesting, this is what I see the business doing in 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, and project it out. That's what lenders want to see. And again, it's not carved in stone. Plans change. You never know what happens. But we want to see that it's not just one day that you want to open up a restaurant and you think it's going to work. Tell us why. Tell us how you think it's going to work, that you've done the research, that the location you chose is strong demographics. There's no other place in the area offering what you have. You've researched this. You provided some good support, and that's why you think you're going to be successful here. And again, I think that's there's no set way to do it. Each business, each industry, is unique, but you want to, this is your opportunity. Again, I keep saying it, to sell yourself. Tell us about it. And what I would also do is, once you submit the application, the information, follow up with your lender. Make sure they receive the information. And I would also put out there that if they would like to discuss further on a call, a conversation, whatever works, that you have the ability to talk through it more. Sometimes, applications and on paper doesn't tell the whole story. You would want to offer it, and this way you're not put into a box there, whether it's a yes or no. Talk through it. Maybe you would qualify for a lesser loan amount. Maybe they didn't understand certain things that were presented in there. So if you have the ability to talk through it and explain why and the reason behind it, I think that always works. And we have that a lot, where we have conversations with our customers all the time, just to understand it better. And this way, what we're providing suits their needs, whether it's an SBA loan or any type of loan. We want to understand that the loan that we're giving them helps the small business, helps them get to the next level, and they're a long-time customer. I think that's most important. Carlos, I'm going to pause there for a minute. I'll let her.
I'll also mention that because of the training that we do, all of our graduates graduate with a business plan. So that's very important to us. So if you take the LETS or the HETP program, you're going to graduate with a business plan, which you could then take to your bank when applying for a loan. And now Tatiana will translate some of what Andrew just went over.
Gracias, Carlos. Y sí, Andrew nos habló un poquito sobre los requerimientos que se necesitan para aplicar a un préstamo del SBA. Can you please put the slide? Básicamente lo primero que tienen que definir es que el prestamista esté trabajando con el SBA. Tal vez su banco ya es un aliado del SBA. Si no lo es, lo pueden buscar también en la página del SBA cuáles son los bancos que están aliados con ellos. Luego tienen que determinar el tipo de loan existente. Como mencionamos hace un rato, está el micropréstamo, está también el préstamo 507, que es para las propiedades, y también el 7A, que es básicamente el conjunto de un préstamo que les sirve para hacer diferentes cosas dentro del negocio. Dentro de eso también tienen que obtener los documentos y llenar la forma 1919, que normalmente la van a poder encontrar tanto en la página del SBA como en la página de su banco una vez que empiecen todo este proceso del préstamo. Algo muy importante que deben de tener en cuenta es que van a necesitar las declaraciones financieras, tanto personales como la del negocio. Normalmente se busca revisar un historial de 3 años. Dentro de esto también se revisa el reporte de crédito, cuáles son los ingresos, cuáles son las deudas que tienen tanto ustedes como individuos como dentro del negocio, qué hay detrás del negocio, si tienen propiedades, si hay colaterales y también si tienen fondos disponibles para poder recibir estos préstamos. En todo esto también van a tener que enumerar los diferentes préstamos y subvenciones que han tenido, si es que recibieron alguno como los del PPP, y también van a tener que enviar un resumen, un currículum de los gerentes en donde básicamente se avale toda la experiencia que tienen las personas que van a estar al mando para poder correr, para poder trabajar en este negocio. Dentro de esto también van a necesitar un resumen ejecutivo o un plan de negocio. Resumen ejecutivo si recién están empezando su negocio y plan de negocio si ya tiene algún tiempo. El resumen ejecutivo básicamente va a dar un resumen de lo que hace su negocio y dónde se están proyectando, y el plan de negocios va a poder demostrar un poquito más en números dónde se encuentra su negocio, cómo están ingresando el dinero, qué tipo de servicios venden y cuáles son sus proyecciones a futuro. Dentro de esto, Carlos habló un poquito del programa HEP y LETS dentro de la Cámara de Comercio. Si ustedes son parte de ese programa, yo soy una feliz graduada de ambos, ustedes ya salen de allí con un plan de negocio que pueden utilizar para estos tipos de préstamos.
Thank you so much, Tatiana.
Thank you. So that's the end of our slides, but Carlos, I'm going to just spend another minute on this here because you mentioned it, the business plan. I'm sure you understand the importance of it, and it is really important. And the other thing is, think about it not just for the lenders or if you're applying for a loan, for yourself, for your small business. It sort of forces you to measure yourself at the end of the year, at the end of 2 years. So you put a business plan together with projections and what you're going to accomplish throughout that year or 2 year or 3 year projection. Measure yourself. See how you did at the end of the year. See how you did at 2 years. What worked, what didn't work. And again, it helps you run that business better. When you're a small business owner, you're doing many things. You're wearing several hats there. And a lot of you don't have the ability to engage a big accounting firm that will provide this information. You do it yourself. But time goes by so fast there, where you're not really sure what worked, what didn't work. You're paying the bills, and you think it's okay. The business plan, here's what you're looking to do for the first year. Break it out. Next year, you're going to say, all right, this is what worked. I'm going to focus more on this. I'm going to spend a little bit more money on marketing or social media. And it sort of forces you to do it. So do it for the lender, but also for yourself, and use it. So don't just put it in a drawer somewhere. Make sure you refer back to it and see, again, what worked, what didn't work. Times change. Look, we always refer back. Look at that. With COVID, reinvented ourselves. Small businesses always reinvent themselves, and you update your business plan. The industry changes, whatever it is. So prepare the business plan. Great advice there, Carlos. I think that's tremendous that you guys do it there, and use it. Use it for yourself as a small business owner. Use it for your lender, but it's definitely something that you should have. And I'm going to go back again to the presentation to your lender. What we had a couple people do, we talked to them, and how they did it is, email themselves with like the application and everything else to see how it comes across. Where, again, it sounds silly, but the tax returns weren't labeled right, or it was tax return and it was the resume, and you left out a couple documents. The reflection on you, the lender's going to say, well, they didn't take the time. It doesn't look right. It doesn't present right. Put the effort in. Footnote the heck out of it. Reach out for a phone call, because, again, it shows the initiative. It shows that why you need this loan. This loan is going to make my business even more successful than we are. It's going to help me start this business that I know is going to be successful. Again, you're the person behind it. You're the small business owner. That lender wants to hear your confidence, your ability to run this. So I would, spend as much time as you think necessary to get that loan, whatever program it is. So with that, I'll let Tatiana catch up, and then we can open it up for Q&A.
Thank you, Andrew. Entonces, básicamente la presentación como tal se acaba aquí. En unos momentos vamos a tener el tiempo de preguntas y respuestas, pero tanto Andrew como Carlos enfatizaron la importancia de tener el plan de negocios. Y dentro del plan de negocios, no solamente hacerlo porque sí, sino asegurarnos de poder definir dónde está cada parte, dónde se encuentra, que todos los números estén bien, que una vez que se le manda también a los prestamistas nos aseguremos de utilizar bien esos archivos, ponerle los nombres completos, hacer explicaciones también en dónde queremos utilizar el dinero, ver qué es lo que funcionó dentro del año pasado, tal vez este año, las proyecciones, cómo se ve en el siguiente, para poder explicarle al prestamista también. Algo que Andrew mencionó que es muy importante es no solamente enviar la información del préstamo y ya dejarlo así, sino que básicamente deberían hacer el seguimiento con la persona del banco que los está ayudando. Y ese seguimiento es básicamente donde ustedes pueden también abrir una fuente de comunicación para poder explicar ya en palabras qué es lo que su negocio requiere, por qué, cuál es la experiencia que tienen, y poder explicárselo a través de una conversación, que no solamente quede en papel. Todo esto demuestra a la persona que les está tramitando el préstamo que ustedes tienen esa iniciativa, tienen la iniciativa de poder organizar absolutamente todo, de que la persona que va a hacer el préstamo entienda su negocio, el historial, qué es lo que quieren hacer también con ese dinero, y pues todo esto les va a ayudar a que tengan más éxito en el préstamo.
Thank you, Tatiana. So, Carlos, that's the end of our slide presentation here. So if we have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them.
Yeah, I'll start. Is there any revenue or years in business minimum to apply for an SBA loan?
No. And that's why I was trying to bounce back and forth for either an existing business can apply for an SBA loan, or a startup business can. So it's either or, and there's no minimum revenue with that.
Okay. Entonces, la primera pregunta es que si se necesita algún tipo de ingreso en específico o cierta cantidad de años que el negocio ya esté funcionando, y básicamente por eso Andrés está explicando la importancia también del resumen ejecutivo hace un ratito, que no es necesario. Los negocios que también recién están empezando pueden aplicar.
Another question that we get often is the I-10 borrowers. Is this something that an I-10, an individual with an I-10 number could apply for?
They can, there's certain requirements regarding citizenship and an ITIN number. They can. The SBA, we follow their guidelines on that. They've been updating it recently with a couple changes. I know a lot of changes that started with the PPP loans and EIDL loans are trying to carry over now. So yes.
Otra pregunta que también hicieron y que se recibe mucho es que si las personas con el ITIN podrían aplicar. Entonces, básicamente han habido diferentes cambios, se los motiva también a aplicar porque a partir de los préstamos que se hicieron de los PPP, básicamente muchas personas solo con IT han podido aplicar, entonces sí deberían hacerlo.
There's a question asking, is there any support in Spanish?
Yes, just like we're doing with the webinar here, the SBA also has all publications in Spanish. The district office in Newark, again, they do a lot of training and webinars as well, and I know they put it out in Spanish as well. We can, Carlos, I can assist with this and send you the information and let you know where they can locate it. But it's a lot of it is in both language.
Okay, we'll send the link to our network to let people know where they can go. Yep.
Entonces, hay otra pregunta que si hay algún tipo de apoyo sobre toda esta información en español y de la misma manera que se hizo ahora en el webinario, ustedes pueden ir a la página del SBA. Normalmente toda la información está en inglés y español, pero nos van a proporcionar también, Carlos, a las personas de la cámara, nos van a proporcionar lo que es el enlace para que ustedes puedan ver la información en español, porque todo eso se hace también en los dos idiomas.
There's a question that I'm going to partially answer because it's saying which bank is good to partner with. So I know Andrew mentioned if you have an existing banking relationship and that bank participates, because you have to participate in the SBA program. Obviously, Peapack is letting you know that they've been doing it. They've been in business for 100 years. If you have a banking partner that you bank with today and they are, you could speak with them about it and see if you want to work with them. But if you do not have a relationship, I'd recommend you reach out to Carolina and Andrew to get the ball rolling and get more information from them in the process.
And Carlos, I appreciate the answer. That's a good answer, and you're right. And the reason I mentioned that, where if you have a lender, a bank that you deal with now, I would ask them if they participate in the program, because if you have a good relationship with them, they already know you. You know them, so it may make that process a little bit easier. We'd be happy to talk with everybody about it. We're pretty good with the SBA program. I think it's a great program. It enables us to assist small businesses, get them to the next level, assist them with their financing needs. And again, there's a lot of other good banks out there. If you have a really good relationship with your bank now, I'd start with them.
Entonces, la siguiente pregunta fue sobre si hay algún tipo de banco en específico que ayude a tramitar esto. Y pues básicamente, como Andrew mencionó, hay diferentes bancos aliados con el SBA. Si ustedes ya tienen algún tipo de conexión directa con su banco, pueden revisar. Si es que no tienen, si no tienen ninguna relación con un banco que esté directamente relacionado con el SBA, también pueden conectarse con las personas de Peapack-Gladstone, de este banco, para que ellos les puedan ayudar. Pero básicamente ustedes pueden encontrar toda la lista de los bancos en la aplicación, en la página del SBA.
A couple of folks asked how long is the process? Like how long will you get a reply after you apply? Yes or no decision?
Good question. Normally it's, I'd say 30 to 60 days. And the reason for the gap there is certain loans require less time. So if it's a working capital loan and there's no third-party reports involved and there's not a lot of due diligence at the bank where the SBA has to do, it can get turned around a lot faster. If there's a purchase of real estate involved, so there's an appraisal, there's an environmental, there's normal due diligence that takes a little bit longer, that has to get done either way, that could spread that out. The other thing is Peapack-Gladstone Bank is a preferred SBA lender, so it speeds up the time with our processing and closing of the loans. Again, we still need to go through the process, but it's a little, an expedited process. So if you're speaking with a lender, you may want to see what their involvement is with the SBA. Are they committed to the program? Are they a preferred lender? And they'll know. And I think it shows that you know what you're speaking about when you ask that question. If they're a preferred lender, means they do a lot of lending in this program in their communities. If they're not, means they'll do one off. It could take a little more time. Maybe they're not as experienced or versed in this type of loan. So you'd want to do a little more due diligence on your own. And again, I would use the SBA here in Jersey as your resource. SBA, NewJersey.gov here, they can provide a list of lenders. They can provide more details on it. And again, you can go down that list to see which one you're more comfortable with. So the timing, I'd say 30 to 60 days, depending on the transaction.
Y el tiempo de estos préstamos o de cuando ya reciben una respuesta puede ser entre 30 y 60 días. La diferencia grande que se ve entre 30 y 60 días es porque hay unos préstamos que sí se tramitan mucho más rápido, pero si necesitan propiedades, necesitan hacer tipos de revisiones, eso sí pueden llegar hasta 60 días. Algo muy importante que se mencionó es que para estos préstamos, digamos que ustedes pueden tener ya relación con su banco y el banco puede ser un aliado del SBA, pero también tienen que revisar si es que estos bancos directamente son prestamistas preferidos del SBA. Hay bancos que específicamente trabajan por y para la comunidad y que están mucho más conectados, que tal vez hacen el proceso más rápido. Entonces, ustedes también pueden preguntar sobre el compromiso directo que tiene el banco con el SBA para que ustedes también puedan tener una idea de cuánto va a demorar su préstamo, porque depende de lo comprometido que ellos estén, más rápido también se va a procesar.
I think you answered this already, Andrew, but I'll ask it again because the phraseology is a little different. What they want to know is if there's money available to start a business. They're not in business currently, so they're saying would the microloan be the more appropriate loan if they're a startup?
There is, and so the startup, there's different types of startups where a franchise would be considered a startup. So again, it's because you have no historical revenues, but it's still a startup because it's, although the franchise has been around for a long time, it's a startup for you. That would depends on the loan amount, whether it's a microloan or a 7A. They do startups, but again, you want to make sure that the business plan reflects how you're going to repay the loan, how you're going to put everything together. The important thing here is to remember it's not a grant, it's a loan. So there are monthly payments that are going to be required on that where, there's a grant out there. Sometimes they're few and far to find, in between to find, but the SBAs are loans. So, keep that in mind, whether it's a small loan or a big loan, there are monthly payments that are going to be required on this thing. So they do startups, but if you're going to do a startup, you want to have a good, solid business plan, which, Carlos mentioned that, right through the chamber there, they'd be able to assist you through the programs.
Y otra pregunta importante también fue si es que negocios que todavía no están generando ingresos pueden aplicar para ese tipo de préstamos. Y pues sí pueden, pero necesitan tener un plan de negocio muy fuerte en donde se pueda explicar o se pueda revisar más bien las proyecciones hacia futuro. ¿Qué tipo de préstamo es conveniente? Dependiendo de la situación. Hay diferentes negocios de inicio, como las franquicias, por ejemplo, que tal vez no les permite tener un historial directo, pero sí tiene algo de experiencia. Entonces, bien pueden ser préstamos 7A o también pueden ser los micropréstamos. Los micropréstamos, pues, es menos dinero y el 7A es un poco más de dinero, depende de la situación en la que ustedes se encuentren.
There's a question, I don't think it's really for Andrew. What I'm going to ask is if the person could send an email to dmalan@shccnj.org, and we'll put you in contact with Marco Gonzalez. It's more a legal question asking if an undocumented individual could open a business in New Jersey. The answer is yes, but I would reach out to legal counsel to better guide you on that. And if you call Marco, he'll give you a free consultation of 15, 20 minutes to answer that specific question at no charge to you. The other question that's come in a couple times is folks could retake our training classes for the business plan. I think it would probably need a retweak, not a whole 15-week class, just to get a business plan updated. So I think we wouldn't admit you a second time unless it was a completely different project and business, and your need was very compelling on why you would do the class again. But generally, you wouldn't do the class again. But we could work with you to update the business plan.
Entonces se hicieron dos preguntas, no directamente relacionadas con los préstamos del SBA, pero por ejemplo hay una pregunta legal si es que alguien con TPS puede abrir un negocio. Y pues sí se puede, pero habría que revisarlo, entonces sí puede enviarle un correo directamente a Danilo Melón para que lo pueda poner en contacto con el abogado Marco González, que normalmente puede estar dando también las consultas gratis entre 15 a 20 minutos para que puedan dar información más dirigida. Otra pregunta que también apareció es que si pueden rehacer el programa o los entrenamientos que tiene la Cámara para volver a hacer el plan de negocio, y en este caso, si ya lo tienen realizado, pues solamente se lo vería para una revisión. Normalmente no se pediría que vuelvan a hacer el programa, a menos de que sea un negocio completamente distinto, un proyecto distinto, pero en todo caso se pueden comunicar también con Danilo para que les pueda dar más información sobre cómo pueden hacer la revisión del plan de negocios.
There have been several questions about in-person meetings. Would that be with you, Andrew, and Carolina, if they needed to speak with somebody further about the process?
Absolutely. Either, what we would suggest is our information. I think it's on our last slide here, our contact information. Reach out. We can either, do a phone. We can do Zoom calls. We have branches we can meet at. So whatever would work. But we encourage that. And again, to go back to what we were saying earlier, a lot of times it's hard to put down, especially for a new business, what they're looking for. And, talking through the process, we understand it a little bit better. We can take them to that next level to understand what their needs are and to try to, fill them as best we can.
Great.
Y otra pregunta también es, para poder recibir esta ayuda tendrían que ir en persona, y bueno, las personas de este banco están dispuestos a ponerse en contacto con ustedes. Ustedes también pueden ponerse en contacto con ellos, y puede ser por teléfono, por Zoom, lo pueden hacer también en persona. Están dispuestos a trabajar con ustedes para poder proveerles más información.
There's a question, Andrew, if the borrower needs to have capital in your bank to be able to apply for the loan.
No, but I'll be careful how I answer that, because if we're doing the loan, we'd probably like the borrower, the business, to bank with us. We provide the service. This way we're able to, and we say that we're able to, assist them further. They bank with us. They have their loan with us. We're going to continue to offer all the other products and services of Peapack. So they find out down the road they need a residential mortgage, they need a line of credit, they need some other. It's easier when everything is in one location. If I'm understanding the question, if the capital, so if they're maybe purchasing something and that's where the down payment is, they would need to demonstrate where that is, or they would need to show it maybe at time of closing. But we wouldn't, we would like the borrower to bank with us here at Peapack. It's not going to be a requirement, but we would encourage it.
Y también preguntaron si es necesario tener un capital en el banco. Técnicamente no, pero Andrew mencionó que sí es muy importante tener la relación con el banco. Entonces, si es dentro del banco que ustedes puedan estar, o inclusive si se quieren poner en contacto con Peapack, básicamente ellos los pueden ayudar con los diferentes productos y servicios que ellos ofrecen, incluyendo dentro del camino se pueden dar cuenta que tal vez necesitan líneas de créditos, o necesitan también demostrar dónde están sacando todo este dinero, entonces se pueden poner en contacto directamente con ellos.
I think that's all the questions. Did you want to put up the slide with your contact information so folks know how to reach out to you and Carolina via email?
That would be great. I think it was the next one after
There
how
we
to
go.
apply
There's
for
the
this.
phone number. Yep.
Perfect.
Creo que esas son todas las preguntas. En estos momentos se está compartiendo la información de Andrew para que se puedan poner en contacto con él y con Carolina.
Again, thank you to Peapack. These are important topics, and without the sponsorship and support of organizations like Peapack, we wouldn't be here today giving you this great information. So again, thank you very much, Peapack. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Carolina.
Thank you, Carlos. We appreciate the opportunity, and we really enjoy working with the Chamber and look forward to working with you again.
Thank you.
Gracias a todos.
Thanks, familia. And anything else you need, we're here. Again, many questions were around our training program. So, check them out online, send us a note. We'll tell you when the next ones are coming up. We're having some pitch and graduations coming up. But again, thank you, familia, and keep plugging away. God bless and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you.